Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a retro review for you today. I want to talk about a very dark, very dismal, very devastating motion picture that will rot your soul if you ever see it. If you have seen it, hopefully this will feel some kind of recovery thing, almost like, an AA meeting, sit around and talk about, how we all suffered, how we all survived. But today what I want to talk about is Van Helsing, released in the summer of 2004 by Universal Pictures, directed by Stephen Sommers, starring Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale, Richard Roxburgh, Will Kemp, Sheila Hensley, Alan Armstrong, David Wenham, Josie Moran, and Alania Anaya, who would go on to play Dr. Poison in Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. So eventually she'd get to be in a good movie. This was kind of Sommers' follow-up to his Mummy films. He did The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. The first one was really, really great. The second one was kind of, I don't know, it just really wasn't that good. So on paper, it looked awesome, and Hugh Jackman was riding high off two X-Men films at this point, which were both great. And with some cool marketing, a great poster, and what looked like it could be a fun film, I was actually legit stoked. I remember I was taking, I think it was to see the Peter Pan movie, but I was, treating as many of my family members as I could out to the movies. And I just remember, I'm holding my young cousin's hand, and we walk into the movie theater, and I turn the corner, and I see the poster for Van Helsing. And, I was a monster kid, So I see that gothicness, I see the monsters, and the castles, and the moon, and there's just this badass standing there with a trench coat and a hat. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm fucking in. You have my ticket, sir. And then came the actual movie. So, let's get into Van Helsing. The film opens with a really washed out black and white prologue scene, where we see it's 1887 and the villagers of Romania, some town in Romania. It's not the village Frankenstein. But they're coming to Frankenstein's castle because he's been robbing graves, and they're gonna hang the son of a bitch. So the classic thing, the torches and the pitchforks, all that kind of stuff. And Frankenstein at this very moment has just brought his monster to life. And right then, Dracula shows up, interrupts him, and basically says, success. Congratulations, doctor. It's my turn to take the creature and have him do my bidding. Whatever, we see him tell Frankenstein what his plan is. Ultimately, telling now, Dracula's big plan is he wants to power the Frankenstein monster in order to bring his vampire children to life, like actual vampire eggs of little bat babies. Frankenstein says he'll have no part of it. Dracula won't fucking need you anymore anyways, and he kills the guy. Now, for the rest of the movie, I'll probably call the monster Frankenstein just for lack of confusion. Don't try to get smart with me and tell, well, actually, the Frankenstein is the doctor. Yeah, I know. I knew that when I was 8. Alright, don't. So, the Frankenstein monster throws a big thing at Dracula, escapes with the corpse of the doctor to the windmill, which the villagers set on fire, and it collapses while the villagers scatter, and the vampires just kind of stand there looking stupid. Before I get into it too far, I want to say right now, at this point in the film, already, at the theaters, I knew it was going to be, they fucked it all up. It was all going to be bad. I have no problem with the Dracula mad scientist thing. I think I first may have popped up, I want to say, in the Hammer films, but I might be wrong about that. The problem with it was Roxburgh. This is an atrociously horrific, putrid fucking performance. And he's not the only bad acting in the movie. But this is, without question, the worst Dracula in movie history. The worst performance of Dracula ever. And I'm taking into account a movie called Dracula versus Frankenstein. If you've ever seen that, just try to find like a clip of it on YouTube or something. You don't want to see that whole movie. You don't want to do that. Anyhow, now the film's in color, and we go to Paris, and we get no title. So you kind of get like the sense that you're stuck in permanent prologue in the movie. And since it was only it's only a year later, only 1 year's gone by, you really needed black and white. And if you were going to do the black and white sequence, couldn't you shot it in black and white instead of just muted out the color? Anyways, I digress. So now we're in Paris and we meet our hero, Gabriel Van Helsing. And Gabriel Van Helsing is basically, they don't spell it out for you, but they kind of spell it out for you. That he's pretty much a fallen angel. His memory's been lost when he murdered the man Dracula was, Vlad Tepes. And, now he's cursed too. He doesn't have a memory, so now he's like an enforcer of. He's basically James Bond meets Blade for the Vatican, and he has tracked Mr. Hyde to Paris, and he's Gabriel, not Van Helsing. Other than just the last name of Van Helsing and having being enemies with Dracula, he has nothing to do with Stoker's character. I didn't really have so much problem with that. I just kind of felt that doing the James Bond Vatican thing was just stupid. That kind of felt a little too comic booky. Just try to keep it horror as much as you could. Lay us out with the action, but I didn't like all the James Bond shit. The guy just didn't bother me so much, but having a Q and that kind of shit was kind of silly. Even though David Whittam is the only actor in this film that's not bad. He's not the only guy who's not utterly embarrassing himself. Him and Kevin J. O'Connor is Igor. And Kevin J. O'Connor is just great. I love him. Moving on with the story. And of course I also want to say the thing about Van Helsing's memory being wiped. I mean, why would they do that? Even if that was in Summers' original script, he should have changed that after he cast Hugh Jackman. It's just too similar to the other hero that Hugh Jackman's already playing in movies. And then they spit. Okay, I'll get to that later. So we're in Paris, and he's chasing Hyde. Oh God, this putrid fucking movie. So he's chasing Hyde, and Hyde. It's Jekyll and Hyde, but Hyde's like this big Hulk-looking motherfucker. He fights Hyde. He kills Hyde. Hyde basically kills himself, accidentally tripping and falling off the roof of the Notre Dame. Is it the Notre Dame? Yes, the Notre Dame. And Hyde's dead. Van Helsing escapes. This is when we meet the whole established thing. He gets his whole M and Q bit, and Q's coming with him. And they got to go to Romania to kill Dracula, because Dracula is, he's the son of the devil. He's Dracula. But there's this curse going on with his family, the Valerius family, and for 400 years they've been fighting Dracula, and Dracula's wiped out every member of their family except these two siblings left. And the brother's gone missing after fucking with the Wolfman, and now the girl is the last member of the family. And if they do not kill Dracula before the entire family is wiped out, the entire family is going to be cursed to purgatory forever. They'll never go to heaven. It's a fucked up deal. Now, they get to Romania, and the villagers instantly want to kill Van Helsing, pretty much just because they don't know who he is. And they're attacked by the Dracula's brides. And through this, we already get to know how terrible of a character Kate Beckinsale is going to be. She's just, every scene, she's just, I don't need anybody's help, but then somebody has to save her. She's always being also, she doesn't seem to actually care about anybody else other than just herself and her family. She's very selfish, she's stupid, a lot of posing, a lot of bad acting and bad writing. This kind of fake strong woman that Hollywood wrote a lot in that time, and still do, where it's like they're not really doing anything strong or brave or smart. They're just being nasty to everybody, and that's not the same thing as strength, And Van Helsing's not a very likable character either. While we're at it, he's pretty much just everything he says is sarcastic. He forces the guy to come along with him because he doesn't know anything about vampires in this part of the world. And then, is like a dick about everything informative the dude has to say about him. Always has like a quip or snarky thing to say about the important information that he needs to know that people are laying to him. He's just an asshole, not a likable character. And pretty much every villain he kills in the movie is almost all accidental. Like I said, Hyde trips off the fucking roof, and in this scene, the vampire bride accidentally drops him right next to his fucking gun, and he kills the vampire bride. And after just one kill, they leave. Then you get this long bit about, literally 3 different times in the movie to tell you, well, vampires only kill what they need to survive. Can humans say the same? We're seriously going to get PC and sympathetic and SJW and woke about a fictitious, demonic, flesh-eating monster? What the fuck, people? Have a grip. Or get a grip. I don't know. I'm fucking ranting here. Anyhow, I really hate this movie. Then we get the most ridiculous acting scene maybe ever. Richard Roxburgh just embarrassingly over the top. Just fucking make this speech about he has no emotions and I feel nothing. And it's just so huge and over the top and loud. Dude, you're saying you have no emotions while you could not be more fucking emotional. You're acting like a 2-year-old throwing a fucking tantrum. I don't know if you realize what these words you're reading mean, or you don't know what emotions are. One or the other. Anyhow, moving on, we find out that the girl's brother that went missing, he did kill the werewolf he was fighting. Now he's the new Wolfman, and now he's a slave of Dracula too. They break into Dracula's castle. They find out what's going on. Van Helsing kind of finds out who he is. They wake up some of the vampire babies, but it's okay. They're only going to eat as much as they need to survive. So don't worry about all those children you lose and your friends. They get snatched up by baby vampires. So it doesn't work because the werewolf isn't a strong enough, host to keep them alive. They need the Frankenstein monster. Van Helsing and the girl escape. They somehow end up at the mill. They come across the monster. And the monster this guy playing the monster. The thing is, he looks like like big and loud. He could have been a great Frankenstein monster. I like them playing the Frankenstein monster smart. But he is so fucking useless. He just whines and pisses and moans the whole time. And the whole design of him and everything looks far more like a robot than a stitched together corpse brought back into an entirely new creature. So they capture the Frankenstein monster, and Van Helsing decides, he sees monsters all the time. This is not a monster. And he wants to help the Frankenstein monster and protect it from Dracula. The plan is to get it to the Vatican where they can protect it. While they're on the way, they're attacked by the vampire brides in the woods again. Actually, in all fairness, the funnest scene of the whole movie. We actually get to see Van Helsing do some legit badass shit, like hopping from horse to horse and going toe to toe with a fucking werewolf. He kills a bride in a stupid fucking rig, like a steak bomb they rigged to a dummy carriage. It's just silly. It's really silly. Like even the fun scene of this movie, this closest thing to a fun scene of this movie, there's still something so moronic. So to kill a second bride like that, and even though Van Helsing is able to kill the Wolfman, the brother Wolfman, he's bit, so now he's got the curse. He's the marked one. The third bride grabs Anna. Instead of just killing her there, which this is literally Van Helsing, Dracula's whole fucking plan. He has to kill this girl and get the Frankenstein monster. I guess he wants to trade the girl, but he's not going to make the trade. So they get to Budapest, and he tries to hide the vampire, but all these tries to hide the Frankenstein monster in a graveyard, but all these vampires show up, and all of a sudden there's all these vampires. Just for this one fucking scene. Van Helsing saves the girl, but now they got the monster. They escape using this fucking sun bomb, which he didn't even realize what it was, the Q guy. And he drops the sun bomb. It kills every vampire in the house, but coincidentally not Dracula or the bride. Just all these random ones we introduced just for the sake of this one fucking scene. Great writing. Anyhow, so they're going back, and now Van Helsing's running out of time. He's been bit by a werewolf. They got the monster. They don't know where Dracula's castle is, and they still don't know how to kill him. Q is able to figure all this shit out near the whole Star Trek scene where everybody stands around just relaying all the things you've heard in the movie. And they figure out he's got the key. They figure out this big map is actually turns into a window, which is a portal to Dracula's castle, which they still don't know where it is. It's important to know. Because after they do destroy fucking Dracula and everything and save the world, how are you going to leave? You don't know where you are, and the portal closed behind you. Anyhow, so the three of them get there. And while they're there, Frankenstein tells them that Dracula has a cure for the werewolf. Why would Frankenstein know that? They want to know why Dracula has a cure, which is a good question, but why would Frankenstein know that? Anyhow, he has a cure for the fucking werewolf. They figure out that the werewolf is the only thing that can kill Dracula, but he can only do it on his first full moon and only within the 1st and the 12th stroke of midnight. They point it out then. They point out when he turns into a werewolf for the first time, and it's totally forgotten. Again, just dropped. So, now we gotta split up. They capture Igor. Igor's gonna take them to, the girl and Q are gonna take Igor to the fucking, whatchamacallit? And to the antidote, and Van Helsing's gonna go save the monster. And, of course, Igor tricks him, traps him in a cell, and then the bride comes to try to kill them. There's a whole fight. Meanwhile, the girl and the bride are fighting. Q's got the antidote, fighting fucking Igor on a bridge trying to get to Van Helsing. The girls are in like a cage. Dracula finally turns into this giant bat monster that they've been teasing the whole movie. When they finally show it, just looks like shit. It's so ugly. That's another thing, for the special effects in this movie are solid, but all the designs are really bad. Just don't look good, And, the best thing about the film is Alan Silvestri's score. But anyhow, this is the third act. Let's get to it. So, Dracula knocks Van Helsing down. Van Helsing gets the monster just loose enough where he, falls down to the bridge. He accidentally kills Igor. He saves the girl from the monster. And he's fighting the bride while, I shit you not, now, it's a bridge. Yes, the bridge has been blown out, but there's still this narrow pathway. Now, instead of Q, I keep forgetting Friar Tuck Q's name. Fuck him, he's Q. He decides to, instead of just, scooting along the side safely and slowly taking your time getting across it safely, the plan is Kate Beckinsale's gonna swing on a damn thing across this across the gap of these two castles with just an abyss beneath him, at night, in the rain, and he's gonna throw it to her, gonna toss it to her, she'll catch it. Now the antidote is the only thing that can save Van Helsing's life, so why be careful? She catches it, they get to the other side, the Dracula, the third vampire bride's there, she stakes the bitch, all the brides are dead. Dracula and Van Helsing's finally turned. They've been fighting. They've been breaking off, going back and forth between really stupid, terrible shit. Finally, Van Helsing turns again, jumps on him, bites him in the throat, kills Dracula. Girl shows up, stabs him with the antidote, but not before he can hit her really fucking hard, basically killing the girl. Dracula's dead. All of the baby vampires blow up. All the monsters are dead. Frankenstein goes off, live his life. Even though the girls died, they saved the family from the curse. And the movie ends with Van Helsing and Q going on the next mission. Nobody on this earth benefited from this film. Not anyone who saw it, no one who was involved in it, movie chains who released it. If you took a girl to see this movie on a first date, you never heard from her again. This film was putrid. This movie is a curse. This was a devastation that just rippled through time ever since, man. You could still feel the pain of Van Helsing. I mean, I saw it for the first time at the theaters right after work. And I remember walking home. I didn't have a car. I like to walk. I was walking home. I was just thinking, I must have been just tired, worn out. It wasn't, couldn't have been that bad. I mean, I didn't just see like a $200 million fucking student film. I mean, no, that's not even fair. Student films are better than this. Van Helsing was one of the worst films of the decade. One of the worst, definitely the worst film of that year. But then again, to be fair, I never saw white chicks. Uh, yeah, it is an embarrassment. It's a true embarrassment. As I said, nobody benefited. Stephen Summers was on a roll. His career never recovered. Kate Beckinsale, because of her involvement in this, even more so than her Underworld films, has never been taken seriously as an actress, nor should she have. I mean, she's had some good performances, but she was a model that got into movies. Now, like, what, her first fucking film right out the bat, they're making her the lead role and shit? They never gave her a chance to get good. To like hone or develop a craft or anything like that. I like her in Vacancy. I thought she was okay in the film Whiteout, but that wasn't a good movie. Richard Roxburgh was, like, in a short period of time there, he was the villain in this, the villain in Moulin Rouge, and the villain of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. 3 embarrassing performances in putrid motion pictures. I know Moulin Rouge was nominated for Best Picture at the time. I think it did all right at the box office, but I doubt people actually still think of that film fondly. And then there's Hugh Jackman, who was, kind of put off and, upset about the whole deal with this film. I don't think he's worked with Universal Pictures since. I mean, I might be wrong about that. But he was very upset with the treatment of the film, the character, just them. They made a shitty movie. No one benefited, and the only person who came out of it not smelling like shit was fucking Alan Silvestri. I mean, because, look, he's great. And we'll point that out, man. Where is Alan Silvestri's Oscar? He's just never going to win a fucking Oscar. Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, The Avengers. This guy does great fucking work. He's a great composer. Anyhow, this film is an utter, miserable, wretched piece of shit. I remember fucking reading Stephen King's review for it back in the day in some magazine. I want to say Entertainment Weekly or something like that. And I just remember he used the absolute perfect word to describe this film, and that is odious. It is odious. Anyhow, hope y'all enjoyed this review. Tell me what y'all thought of Van Helsing. If you hate it as much as I do. I mean, The Happening is awful too. But The Happening is so unintentionally funny, you kind of enjoy watching it. Almost, but for all the wrong reasons. Anyhow, I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.